This is the first video that I'm filming in what ultimately will become my first recording studio. At the time of filming this video, I have 216 subscribers, and a few days ago I published a video that would ultimately become the first video that I record that broke 1,000 views. It's currently sitting at 1,200, so that feels pretty good. I understand that these are very minuscule numbers, and I'm still a pipsqueak of a channel, but YouTube has already had quite a surprising impact on my life, and I figured I'd record a pretty impromptu video talking about it. This is my chicken scratch notes, so I mean it's fairly unscripted, but I just figured I'd spend a little bit to talk about why I started on YouTube, how it's already impacted my life, and ultimately what my long-term plans are. But the reason I started YouTube, quite innocently, I read this book called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon, and it's a fairly easy read. I mean, there's a ton of pictures, and I mean, it's a super quick read. You could read it in one sitting, and it really inspired me to, well, as the name suggests, show my work. I've done, if this is your first time watching a video of mine, if you don't know who I am, I'm 24 years old. I own multiple businesses in multiple different states. I had to work in a few years. I mean, financially, I'm well off. I mean, I've done a fair bit of things in my short years on this earth, but I've realized I've always done my work in obscurity. I've always isolated myself, ran off alone and did my work, and I've done well for myself. But this book made me realize that it's probably a better idea to just show my work. I've always built my companies, but now I'm publicly building my companies. And it's taken the onus off of any sort of idea of outcomes, right? You want to have a huge audience like Alex Hormozi, for example, or whatever that may be. No, just falling in love with the process of just doing your work. And if you learn a lesson and it provided value to you, just simply sharing that with others. So it inspired me to do a few videos. And the first video that I recorded was about 8 months ago. And at the time, I had recently bought an assisted living facility. So I recorded a little video about how I was able to buy that business. And that's kind of what kickstarted everything. But ultimately, I was inspired writing this video, or by reading this book. But I only recorded maybe 5 or 6 videos before I fell off. You know, I didn't take it much serious. I didn't take it very seriously. And, you know, ultimately, after making a few videos, life got in the way. I was distracted, and I ultimately quit. And I quit for several months. And then ultimately, a few months ago, I started back again with intent. And the reason for that is I went through, very candidly, a pretty terrible heartbreak. I lost the woman that I thought I'd ultimately spend the rest of my life with, and so that's been very painful. And all of a sudden, I had a reason, I had a motive, and I had a desire to channel all of the energy that I had, all of the feelings, all of the hurt, into something meaningful. And I started with YouTube again, but with intent this time. So I took Ali Abdal's part-time YouTuber Academy. It was like $1,000, and I, in the matter of a few days, consumed like literally 30 hours of content in this course, and I just completely absorbed it. And I was able to, as Alex Hormozi would actually say, I was able to buy and accelerate skills, you know, something that ultimately through trial and error on YouTube I could figure out over the course of a few years. I was able to kind of purchase those skills, if that made sense, and just kind of really accelerate my learning process forward. And of course, you'll see if you actually look at my channel, you could see there's probably a gap between when I first started making videos, and you could see the quality of those videos. And when I started, of course, that first video was titled Why You Need to Suffer. So take that from a man who was heartbroken. But very quickly, I saw the quality of my videos improve, and I am very thankful to Ali's course. Taught me how to find an outsourced editor. I think ever since that happened, the quality of my videos has definitely gone up. Bought a nice mic and some better equipment just so I could increase the quality of those videos. But ultimately, again, why am I doing it? You know, I'm pretty candid about why I started. Reading this book, which actually I highly recommend. There's a few other books I haven't read that he wrote that I do plan on reading it. Take this plus a little bit of a heartbreak is enough for a guy to do some shit that they're normally uncomfortable with. But ultimately, very serendipitously, I've been able to actually find a lot of meaning in this. And actually, Ali Abdallah in his course talks about how YouTube is one of the greatest serendipity vehicles on the planet. And that's, I think, really when it clicked in my brain. I said, okay, I have to do this. With the 216 subscribers I've had, with the few hundred views that I get on average on my videos, I've surprisingly had a high number of people reach out to me. And I think that's probably one of the first things that's really changed my life. It's just the real world opportunities that open up to you. I've had people from all over the world contact me, either with business ideas or with suggestions or ideas, or simply they wanted mentorship or whatever that may be. I've had people reach out to me. They've found me on Instagram. They've reached out to me on LinkedIn. They've emailed me, called me. And I'm like, oh, it feels really good when that happens. And of course, I'm still a small channel. So if anybody does reach out to me, I do try to make it a point to respond back to those messages. And I try to make it a point to provide as much value as I possibly can. Because if somebody takes the time out of their day to reach out to me, I think I owe them a response, or at least I owe them some type of, I owe it to them to engage. And that's been really helpful. And I think ultimately I could see myself long term. If I'm at 200 subscribers now and I'm getting this type of outreach, I can only imagine what channels that are getting, 200,000 subscribers or 2 million subscribers, the kind of opportunities that get inbounded to them. And so when I just try to look forward throughout my life, throughout the next 10, 20, 30 years, if I had two identical versions of myself, two carbon copies, one of them continues on business as usual as I normally do, and one does the same exact thing, but takes the opportunity to record and document that process and show their work and upload their work online, who would have a better life? Who would have more opportunities? I mean, the way I look at it like that decision's easy for me to make. If I imagine I'm an 85-year-old man sitting at, on my rocking chair in my retirement home looking back at my life and I'm pondering it, I think I would more regret not having the balls to put myself out there and to record these videos than if I make these videos and I make an ass out of myself, or I look like an idiot, or some of my family members see this and they think it's awkward or something like that, or cringe. At some point I'm going to die. I'm not going to remember any of this stuff. The world is going to move on. So I figured, okay, hell, that's enough of a reason for me to just do it. I don't have any particular end goal in mind, but I've already realized that just some of the opportunities that have opened up, I've overwhelmingly justified making these videos. I've also been able to achieve clarity through documentation. When you have to sit down and record a video, it really forces you to get clear about who you are, what you stand for, what you're doing, what your intentions are. And that's been really helpful. I basically have my entire life at this point narrowed down to a very simple mission statement. As far as my work is concerned, my current obsession is to build a $50 million home service business. That's my obsession, and nothing's going to take me away from that. But with YouTube, I've modified that. I'm now publicly building that company. And so my intention over the next several years, as I build my company, I want to document the lessons learned, the mistakes I make, and believe me, I make a ton of mistakes, and just document the process. And ultimately, it's not only kind of like a time capsule where I could look back and say, holy crap, 2 years ago, it's like, we've come a long way. But at the same time, if I could help teach a thing or two, that gives me a lot of purpose. And I do not pretend to know that I know everything. One of my favorite quotes is by Alexander the Great. He says, "I am indebted to my father for living, but to my teachers for living well." And I mean that wholeheartedly. I believe in that. I'm very grateful to the incredible mentors and teachers that I've had in my life. I've learned everything that I know today from my mentors, so I don't pretend to know anything. I'm just simply trying to relay information that I've been privileged to learn. And if anybody could pick up that information and use it to actually move their life in the right direction, then that's worth it. And of course, it gives me purpose. When I've had people reach out to me, and maybe I'll put some screenshots of some of those messages. When people reach out and I say that they watched one of my videos and they took away some real world actionable insights, that overwhelmingly justifies the awkwardness and the pain and the pain and the struggle to actually record these videos. Because if you could actually change the lives of people, it's very fulfilling. I don't have an end goal with YouTube. I don't have this monetary figure or this, I need to get to a certain subscriber count. I don't. I'm just taking this day by day, and I'm dedicating myself to at least building the consistent habit of making videos. That alone has changed my life, obviously, because now I actually have to make time for this stuff. There's one thing about flapping your lips about wanting to make YouTube videos, but then actually taking the time to script the videos, to record the videos, to edit the videos, to publish them, that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. And so, I mean, that alone will have an impact on you. Of course, your ability to communicate, talk to a camera, to get comfortable with that, I think that's a very interesting skill that I think most people would benefit being able to develop. I've made a few videos already on this channel, and I intend to make a lot more about the idea of how building your communication skills overwhelmingly is probably single-handedly the most impactful thing you could do to increase your earning capabilities and just to push your life forward. And this is just a form of communication. It's a form of communication that I haven't mastered yet. It's still fairly awkward to me, talking to a camera screen and ultimately, you know, getting responses online. It's different. It's weird because you're not actually interacting with live people. And so that and public speaking is something I want to continue to develop. So I'm going to have my own motivations as to wanting to develop and continue to build myself as a person. But ultimately, I do have this greater purpose of ultimately documenting what I'm doing, teach the lessons I've learned, and then ultimately, if people do reach out and they have ideas and they want to partner up or whatever that may be, I'm all ears. I've actually solicited a few people so far already. If you have business ideas, if you have, you know, a deal or anything like that, and you want to run it by me, my contact information is available. My phone number, my email, all that stuff. It's in the video description. It's on my website. I mean, I'm reachable. I'm a real person. I read every comment that comes through. And if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can. But I figured my future self would appreciate sitting down and recording this unscripted video, because I had no idea what the future is going to look like. I have no idea what 2, 3, 4 years in the future, 10 years in the future, looking back at this video and thinking, holy shit, Elias, you had no idea where things were going to go. So I appreciate everybody's support. If there's anything that anybody would like to see me record, leave me a message. Again, I see everything, so I'll respond to it, and see you around.